You've tried therapy, journaling, meditation, the whole self-help stack. You understand your trauma, you know exactly where it came from. You can trace it back, name the moment, describe the feeling, and nothing changes. Same anxiety, same patterns, same physical knot in your chest every morning. You're still carrying it. Here's the part nobody tells you. Understanding your pain doesn't fix it. Talking about it doesn't fix it. Even accepting it, that whole radical acceptance thing, doesn't fix it. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know this. Because you've done the work. You've sat in that chair, paid for those sessions, unpacked the childhood stuff. But you woke up this morning feeling the exact same way you did 3 years ago. So what's actually happening here? Because the entire therapeutic model you've been sold, it's backwards. Your brain doesn't care about facts. It doesn't care about truth. It cares about one thing, words. And I'm about to show you how a single word, swap, done correctly, can depolarize years of stored trauma in minutes. This isn't Tony Robbins. This comes from Soviet psycholinguistics. Real research, the kind of stuff that got hidden because it was too effective. So let's talk about the lie you've been living inside. The real enemy here isn't your past. It's not your parents. It's not even the event itself. It's something called the myth of the deep truth. We've been sold this idea that buried somewhere in your psyche is the answer, the original wound, the core story. Dig it up, process it, feel it fully, and you're free. Wrong. Your trauma isn't a thing. It's not stored in your tissues like a tumor waiting to be removed. It's a label, a word, a signifier. And here's where this gets dangerous. Ferdinand de Saussure, father of modern linguistics, proved something most therapists refuse to acknowledge. Human meaning is completely arbitrary. The word fear has no natural connection to the feeling. It's just a sound we agreed on, a social contract. But once you attach a word to a sensation, your brain builds a neural pathway around it. The word becomes the structure, the cognitive map. Most therapists try to process the trauma, analyze it, understand it, feel it. But that's like trying to demolish a building by studying its blueprint. You don't need to process it. You need to re-signify it. This is where Jacques Lacan comes in, the Trojan horse of psychoanalysis. He revealed the secret the entire industry wanted buried. Therapy isn't about feelings. It's about linguistics. He said it explicitly. It is not the man who constitutes language, but language that constitutes the man. Translation? Change the word, change the human. Your personality, your reactions, your entire behavioral structure. It's all downstream from the vocabulary you use to describe yourself. So if the words are the prison, then the words are also the key. Let me show you how this works. Step 1. Identify the raw sensation. Not the story, not the memory, the physical signature. Right now, close your eyes for a second. Don't think about what happened to you. Ignore the narrative. Just scan your body. Where is it? Tightness in your throat? Pressure behind your eyes? That hollow feeling in your gut? Cold numbness in your limbs? This is what psycholinguists call the signified, the raw, pre-verbal feeling that exists before you put language on it. Write it down. Be clinical about it. Constriction in solar plexus, 7 out of 10 intensity. Because here's what neuroscience shows. Emotional memories aren't stored as stories. They're somatically encoded, locked into your nervous system as body states. You're not remembering the event. You're experiencing the physiological pattern it created. And this is critical. That sensation isn't the problem. The word you're using to describe it is. Step 2. Identify the poison label. Look at the sensation you just wrote down. Now write the word you currently use for it. Anxiety, trauma, my damage, the thing my father did to me. Don't censor yourself. The uglier the word, the better. This is diagnostic. Let me give you an example of how insanely powerful this is. Freud had patients who came from the exact same family structures, same parents, same childhood events. Patient A used this label. I have loving, imperfect parents. Result? Functioned normally, had relationships, built a career. Patient B, looking at the exact same facts, used this label. I unconsciously want to kill my father and marry my mother. Result? Neurotic wreck, guilt, paralysis, years of therapy. The facts didn't change, the signifier did, and the entire personality structure flipped. Because here's what happens neurologically. When you name an emotion, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that builds meaning, that creates memory associations. The word becomes a cognitive anchor. It tells your amygdala, your threat detection system, how to react. So when you say, I'm anxious, you're not describing a feeling. You're instructing your brain to treat this sensation as a threat, as evidence that something is wrong with you. Most people do this unconsciously their entire lives. They inherit poisonous vocabulary from their parents, their culture, their therapists, and they never question it. You're about to weaponize this. Step 3, select the new signifier. And here's where people screw this up. You don't need a positive word. Positive psychology is a scam. If you're genuinely anxious and you try to call it excitement, you're just gaslighting yourself. What you need is a clinically neutral reframe that changes the operational meaning. Let me show you how this works. Take your raw sensation from step 1. Now choose a new, technical, depolarized label. OLD, I have crippling anxiety. New, I have excess sympathetic nervous system activation. Old, I'm damaged from my childhood. New, I have an outdated threat detection protocol. Old, I hate my body. New, I'm experiencing somatic tension from stored stress responses. You see what's happening here? The new word neutralizes the electrical charge on the old neural pathway. It doesn't erase the memory, it reroutes the meaning. This is what Soviet psychologists called cognitive map depolarization. And it's what elite therapists charge $500 an hour for. Except they do it to you. You're about to do it to yourself. Wilhelm Reich, psychoanalyst in the 1930s, pioneered this. He stopped calling physical tension stress and started calling it muscular armor. His patients stopped seeing it as a flaw and started seeing it as a functional defense system. The armor could then be removed, not because the tension disappeared, but because the ideology around it changed. So pick your new word, write it down next to the old one, but here's the part most people miss. Step 4, perform the swap. You're not reframing your perspective. You're performing a hostile takeover of your discursive environment. This is war. The old signifier will fight back. Here's the protocol. For the next 7 days, you're going to become thought police. Every time the old signifier appears in your internal monologue, I'm so anxious, I'm such a mess, you stop mid-sentence, out loud. Yes, out loud. Correction, I am not experiencing anxiety. I am experiencing sympathetic nervous system activation. It's going to feel robotic at first. That's the point. You're hacking the operating system. Days 3 through 5, you externalize it. When someone asks, "Are you okay?" you use the new language. I'm dealing with some somatic tension. Not, I'm a wreck. Days 6 and 7, you journal using only the new signifier. Write about the feeling as if it's a technical phenomenon, not a character flaw. And here's what's wild. Neuroscience backs this up. There's a principle called Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you use the new word, you strengthen that neural pathway. After about 7 days of consistent replacement, the old cognitive map starts to atrophy, and this is where people notice something uncanny. The behavior changes without the feeling changing. You won't feel better immediately. You'll act different immediately. The feeling follows the behavior, not the other way around. Track this. For the next week, log situations where the old sensation appears. Then log your automatic response. Watch what happens around day 4 or 5. You'll notice you respond to the sensation differently, even though the sensation itself hasn't weakened yet. Example: old signifier, I'm anxious. Avoid the presentation. Confirm you're broken. Anxiety intensifies. New signifier, sympathetic activation. Notice the activation. Recognize it as information, not identity. Do the presentation anyway. The neural pathway starts to dissolve. Because when the word changes, the reward structure changes. Your brain no longer gets a dopamine hit from avoidance. You're not protecting yourself from anxiety. You're just managing a biological state. The pattern starves. The map depolarizes. Quote from the original research: attributing a new signifier to the signified, the psychoanalyst achieves a certain cognitive transformation in the patient's consciousness, after which this new ideology will constitute the patient's behavior. Translation: you're not healing the trauma, you're hacking the operating system. And once you see this work once, you realize you can do it to anything. So, let's zoom out. This isn't a technique, it's a philosophy. You are not a fixed entity with a true self buried under trauma. You're not damaged goods that needs to be repaired. You are a discursive structure, a web of words and meanings. Most people are spoken by their language. They inherit vocabulary from their parents, their culture, their trauma, and they spend their entire lives obeying it. You're about to speak your language. You're not healing. You're linguistically re-engineering your consciousness. You're not a patient. You're a psycholinguistic architect. And the second you realize this, every emotional label becomes negotiable. Here's the dark part nobody talks about. That voice in your head, the one that says you're broken, that you're anxious, that you'll never change, it's not you. It's the signifier system you inherited. Your parents' words, your teacher's words, society's words. Most people will die without ever questioning the vocabulary they were given. You won't. It is not the man who constitutes language, but language that constitutes the man. Your trauma isn't in your past. It's in your present tense vocabulary. Change the word, change the human,